Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in these recent days, we've seen a lot of speculation on what's going to happen with the PulseChain launch. Now, in this video, I'm going to go over a little bit what is PulseChain, not too much because there are plenty of videos out there describing what exactly it is. I'm just going to give you a rough summary and then compare it to the Ethereum crowd sale, right? The original ICO, right? So if you like this kind of content, make sure to leave a thumbs up. Be subscribed by the end of the video if you aren't already, and let's go ahead and talk about PulseChain. So what is PulseChain? It's an Ethereum hard fork. Why is PulseChain launching? Well, Ethereum gas fees are pretty high. And so PulseChain is simply a fee burning, faster, higher throughput. Did I already say fee burning? Ethereum hard fork. And it's copying the complete Ethereum system state, unlike something like BSC, which is basically a clone of Ethereum without system state. So it starts as an empty chain and then it relies on users, influence marketing to actually fill up the chain, right? Demand. However, it's kind of a shortcut, or at least I'm guessing it'll be a shortcut to demand and to adoption to have all of your ERC20s that you already have on Ethereum cloned onto the PulseChain, right? So if you have a bag of Link, Uni, Hex, Ethereum, all of that is going to be cloned over into P-Link, P-Uni, P-Hex, all that. So you're pretty much going to get a copy of all your coins. And the way this is launching is similar to many other successful projects who have launched with initial offerings, right? And keep in mind, this is not a security, right? I believe this is, it says somewhere in here, even in the, here you go, in the Ether crowd sale, Ether is a product, not a security or investment offering. So using the word offering is probably not the best idea, right? Ether is simply a token useful for paying transaction fees or building or purchasing dApp services on Ethereum. It does not give you voting rights or anything, so it's not a governance token, and we make no guarantees of its future value. So similar to Pulse, right, where no guarantees, we have actually no idea where the price of Pulse is going to go once it actually launches on the open market. We can only speculate. And similarly, back in the day when people were buying Ether with their Bitcoin during this 42-day phase, we're going to have about a 30-day phase, I believe. Well, they weren't expecting profit, or they were led to not expect profit, even though obviously they did profit. So let's just get into the meat of this, right? You can read this if you'd like. It's on blog.ethereum.org called Launching the Ether Sale, posted by Vitalik himself in 2014, a couple days after the launch went live, I believe. And so how did it go? Well, 42-day launch period, similar to the PulseChain 30-day launch period. There was also a curve, right, where the price of Ether was initially set to 2,000 ETH per Bitcoin, and it declined to 1,337 ETH per Bitcoin. So not necessarily a 2x ramp, but almost. And I like the fact that he used this 1,337. If you know what that means, then if you know, you know. Okay. So bonding curve, 42-day launch period, not a security or offering. So excuse the words I was using earlier. And what happened, right? So if we look at the period during which this sale happened, where people were trading their Bitcoin per Ethereum, it was between July 20th, 2014 through September 2nd, 2014. And so what I went ahead and did was I plotted these vertical lines to show you where the price of Bitcoin was during the Ethereum crowd sale, which tells you what kind of value people were sacrificing, right? This is analogous to the sacrifice phase. This is the amount of value people were sacrificing for their Ether, which was a new coin at the time. There was no precedent, no historical data on Ether. It's a completely new coin, completely new use case. I have a call in about 10 minutes. So this is the value people were giving up. This was the beginning and the end. This was the 42-day launch period. And during that time, the price of Bitcoin went from around $630 all the way to, $480. So you can average those prices and say, well, Bitcoin price is worth about $550 or so. To make it easy math, let's say price of Bitcoin was $500, right? It makes it easy math, and it falls within this range. And so if you look at the ratios that that people were trading for, 2,000 Ether per Bitcoin. Well, it's really, really easy math. All you have to do is $500, right? One Bitcoin. If you had given up, you would have gotten 2,000 Ether. Divide that. You would have gotten each Ether for 25 cents, right? And at the end, the very end of the, you know what? Let's not average. Let's not be like that. Let's actually start from the beginning. Okay, you're seeing me change my mind here real time. So let's say day one, right? $623. So 623 divided by 2,000. Day one, about 31 cents per Ether. 31 cents on the US dollar per Ether. And then let's say on day 42, where the price of Bitcoin had dipped to $471, divide that by 1,337, right here, right on the very last day of the sale. And that gives you about 35 cents. So an average of 31 to 35 cents approximately was the price of Ether during the crowd sale. Think about that. 31 to 35 cents. Because where's Ether now? $3,500. It's 10,000x up. Just sit on that for a minute. Now, it's not to say that the price of Ether didn't go lower, because I believe if you look at Kraken, right, let's actually pull it up, ETHUSD, go to Kraken exchange, then you can see that price did indeed wick down. So again, not for too long, but it did wick down to this level over here of about 15 cents. So if you had bought a bunch of Ether, if you had traded in your Bitcoin during that 42-day phase, got a bunch of Ether, and you paid an average of 31 to 35 cents per Ether, and then you saw it dip all the way down to 15 cents, well, you were down for a day about 50% before things got nice, because the price really never went back to that 30-cent level or beneath it, other than I guess this very first day that it was. This the second day, actually? Interesting. Yeah, first day. I didn't even notice this tiny ass candle over here. See that? Very tiny spread, about $3 per Ether. Before, it makes sense, right? This makes sense. Think about it for a bit. These guys got their Ether for 30 cents, and then opening price day one on the market, $3. You're up 10x. Some people are going to sell, and clearly some people sold and brought it all the way down to 15 cents. I'm curious, how big of a dip is that? Let's take a look. We don't need date and price range because it was just over a day, so just price range. Holy, a 95% dump on day one. Excuse me, day two, if you consider this August 7th to be day one. And there may be markets that I'm not aware of where it has data before August 7th, 2015. Let me know in the comments if you know of those, but as far as I'm concerned, Kraken has the most historical data for Ether price versus the dollar. So let's just use this and say that 95% dip on the second day. I keep saying that. Which, this is just to illustrate what might happen, right? Like, let's just say you sacrifice some coins for your Pulse, right? And you obviously have to wait until you get your Pulse after the sacrifice phase is over, after mainnet launches, then that's when you actually get your coins. And let's say, on average, you get your coins, your Pulse for, just a pure hypothetical. Again, this is purely hypothetical. I have no clue what the price is going to be set at initially. Let's say 1 penny. I don't know, just a random number. All right, let's say 10 pennies. Let's just say 10 pennies, because it'll make the math easier. Okay? So let's say you bought your Pulse for 10 pennies in the form of you sacrificed your coins, and the ratio you got averaged out to you're paying 10 cents per Pulse. Well, it's possible, given what happened on Ether, that let's say day one, price opens up at $1, and a lot of people are up 10x on their Pulse. So they take some profits, and they dump the price down 95%, which would put it at about, 5 cents. And so there would be people who got in at 10 cents and are down 50%, right? Similar. But it's possible that price never ever goes back there. I mean, this is just what I'm seeing in the chart, right? Just what I'm seeing in the chart. And let's take a look at, actually, from here, how long did it take to reach, let's say this local peak, 219 days before it was up about 10,000%. So what is that, 100x? Jeez. Let me do the math real quick. Is that 100x or is that 1,000x? $15 divided by 15 cents. Just don't want to get my zeros mixed up. 100x. Definitely 100x. Right, obviously. So it's possible that we see something similar where day one, day two, we actually see a dump, and that it might actually be more profitable to buy on day one, day two of Pulse being traded on the open market, right, after mainnet launches. But if you had gotten in at 30, 35 cents and just waited, you'd still be up a fuck ton, right? I mean, again, we're up 10,000x right now if you'd waited years, okay? So that's just my 2 cents on the matter of what might happen during the Pulse launch, because we've been told that, you know, the mechanics are designed so that day one guys aren't necessarily penalized like they were on the Hex day one. Yeah, so it made sense to compare Hex to the EOS chart because they had similar launch mechanics with a 350-day launch period. And again, you had similar global bottoms, absolute bottoms around, what was it, like day 30 something, day 50. I always forget. It was January 5th, 2020, which was the bottom for Hex. But I believe if you overlay the Hex and the EOS 350-day launch periods, you actually got the best deal on either one around, again, day 30 to 50 or so. Correct me, let me know which day it actually was. But I think comparing Pulse to Ether makes sense because they're having similar launch mechanics where you have this bonding curve and where you have a shorter launch period, 30 to 42 days. And not only that, this is a hard fork of Ethereum. And so again, I think it's the most relevant launch to compare Pulse to. Okay, so could be the opportunity of a lifetime. Think about if you could have gotten in at Ether at 30 cents, right? Mind you, your coins might dump for a day or two and you might be down 50% a day or two, but at the end of the day, you could have been up anywhere from 100,000 to 10,000x at this point if you'd gotten in on Ether during the 42-day launch phase. That's your video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you going to participate in Pulse? Are you not? What coins are you going to sacrifice? I'm really curious what you think. With that said, I do appreciate you watching. Leave a thumbs up and be subscribed definitely if you haven't already. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.